Good morning, everyone. So it's back to the exam kit. Now, many students come and tell me, ma'am, who in the world are making these problems that appear in the exam kit? Because it is so tough. But let me tell you something. All the questions in the exam kit revolve around the basic concepts. So once you are thorough with the basic concepts, it becomes easier to tackle the exam kit questions. It is just that they are weaving a story around the basic concepts. The stories might be different, but the concepts remain the same. So let's get started from a question from the exam kit, the SIP company. So just as I said, every question has got a story. And the story that comes in this question is about a yacht. And the name of the yacht is Beau. And this yacht requires renovation. So let's take a look at the yacht. So this is the yacht called Beau and it needs renovation. Now let's take a look at the interior of the yacht and see which all areas need renovation. So the upholstery has to be changed, the flooring has to be changed. And if you notice here, the floor color is a tan color and the kitchen or the galley also needs to be renovated. Galley is nothing but the kitchen of a ship. Now, before we get to the question, let's have a quick refresher of the concepts of relevant costing. What were the three basic features of relevant cost? There should be a cash outflow. That is, physically, cash should go out of your hand. Only then it can be treated as a relevant cost. The second point is it should be related to the future. That is, it should not be a past cost. And another word for past cost is sunk cost. So it should not be a past cost. And the third feature is it should be incremental. Now, what do you mean by the term incremental? Incremental means it should be different between the options. Now, what are the two options that we have? Whether to renovate the yacht or not to renovate the yacht. So among these two options, if the expense is the same, then it means that it is not incremental. But if the expense is different between the options, then it is incremental. Only then can you treat it as a relevant cost. So now we know that the three main features of relevant cost is it should be a cash outflow, it should be related to the future, that is, it should not be a past cost or a sunk cost, and it should be incremental, that is, it should be different between the options. Now, along with these three features, I will give you a quick tip. Whenever you get a question on relevant costing, please bear in mind that majority of the expense is either a cash outflow or it is a lost cash inflow. Cash outflow, you already know. It means that physically you are paying cash for a particular expense. And what about lost cash inflow? Now, lost cash inflow means just because of our decision, that is because of renovating the yacht, if we lose certain income, then that is also a loss that we are suffering, right? So that will also appear as a relevant cost. So whenever you get a question, always think, is it a cash outflow? Is it a lost cash inflow? If yes, then it is a relevant cost. Now let's get started with the question. So we will tackle the question part by part. So I have just copied the relevant question extracts to tackle the first part of the question. SIP company has to quote on relevant cost basis for the refurbishment of a yacht called Beau. Refurbishment means renovation. The refurbishment starts in 1 week's time. SIP company has spent $100 for obtaining the information about the refurbishment, has already spent $100, which means that it is a past cost. And another word for past cost is it is a sunk cost. And we know that sunk cost is never relevant because all expenses should be related to the future. Only then it will be a relevant cost. So completely ignore $100. Material required is 20 square meter of upholstery fabric, and 10 square meter of teak wood for the flooring. Now, the first part deals with what are the costs to be included for the upholstery fabric. So we will focus our attention on point number 1. Cheapest source for upholstery fabric is from overseas at $85 per square meter. So that is the cost of the upholstery fabric. SIP company buys from overseas and pays $400 per month to a shipping company as retainer. $400 per month as retainer. Now, what do you mean by a retainer fee? That is, we have to pay $400 per month to the shipping company to reserve the shipping company for our transportation. Okay, so this $400 we have to pay even if we do not renovate the yacht. That is, even if you do renovate the yacht or if you do not renovate the yacht, you will still have to pay $400, which means that it is not different between the options. It is not different means it is not incremental. And we know that if it is not incremental, it does not satisfy the basic feature of relevant costing, and hence it is completely ignored. Next, and $7.5 per square meter per meter transported. So basically, you will have to pay for the cost of the upholstery fabric and also the transportation cost. That is a cash outflow that is taking place. So what is the relevant cost? We have to pay $85 plus 7.5 per square meter. And how many square meters do we need? We need 20 square meters. So what is the relevant cost? Relevant cost is 85 plus 7.5 multiplied by 20 square meters. We get an answer of $1,850. So the relevant cost of upholstery fabric is $1,850. Now moving to the second subpart where we are supposed to find out the relevant cost of the teak wood. So this is the question extracts. Material required is 10 meters squared of teak wood. I've just copied it from the previous slide. SIP company has 5 meters squared of teak wood, which cost $100 per meter squared and could be sold at a 5% discount on cost. So what does it mean? Out of the 10 square meter of teak wood that is required for renovation, SIP company already has 5 square meter. But it could be sold at $100 less 5% discount. What is $100 less 5% discount? It is 100 into 95% or $95. So $95 is the amount that we would have received if we do not implement the renovation, which means that just because of our decision to renovate the yacht, we are losing $95 lost cash inflow. And I gave you a quick tip. Whenever you get an expense, see whether it is a cash outflow or a lost cash inflow. This is a lost cash inflow and hence it is relevant. So $100, you're selling it at 5% discount. So it's a lost cash inflow. It's 100 into 95% or $95. And how many square meters are we selling? 5 square meters. So we multiply with that to get the total cash inflow, which is lost as $475. Okay, moving forward, existing teak is stained mahogany. Mahogany's color is reddish brown. But what was Bose color? Bose color is tan. And cost of sanding and staining the teak are. Now, if you want to change the color, you will have to do sanding and staining. What do you mean by sanding? Sanding is you are making it fine so that there are no scratches before staining. And then you have to stain it to the new color, that is tan. So the cost of sanding is $14 per square meter and staining is $4.5 per square meter. So what is the cash outflow? So the cash outflow is $14 plus $4.5 for how much quantity? For 5 square meter, because that is the existing teak that we have. So you have a cash outflow for the old teak. It is $14, that is the sanding cost, and $4.5, that's the staining cost. And for how much quantity? For 5 square meter. So the cash outflow is $92.5. That is also relevant because it is a cash outflow. The next cost is reset of the staining machine after each staining job is $80. So after each staining job, we have to reset the machine, for which we incur an amount of $80. But listen to the next sentence. To ensure teak's color is consistent, all teak for one job is stained at the same time. What does it mean? We need a total of 10 square meter of teak wood, out of which we already have 5 square meter of teak wood, which means that old teak is 5 square meter and we have to buy new teak from the market. That is again 5. So the old teak and the new teak should be stained at the same time. This is what they are telling in this sentence. That is, to ensure teak's color is consistent, all teak for one job is stained at the same time, which means that the total of 10 square meter, that is the old and the new teak, should be stained at the same time. So how many times should we reset the machine? Just once. So only $80 need be taken for the resetting cost. So let's make a note of it because that's also a cash outflow. Reset of staining machine is $80. Moving forward, and staining cost is same irrespective of the age of the teak. What does that mean? It means that even if it is old teak or new teak, the staining cost remains at $4.5 per square meter. Now, cost of buying the new teak is $110 per square meter. New teak can be stained the correct color for bow with no preparation. What do you mean by with no preparation? That is, we don't need to do the sanding part. That is, no polishing and all is required. We can directly stain it. So sanding cost will not come for the new teak. Only the staining cost will come. So what is the cash outflow associated with the new teak? We will have to buy it from outside, incurring an amount of $110 per square meter. And we have to stain it, incurring an amount of $4.5 per square meter. So these are the only two cash outflows which are taking place. So cash outflow with respect to the new teak, it is $110, that is the cost price, and $4.5, that is the staining cost. And how many square meters should we buy from outside? 5 square meters, because already we have 5. Totally we need 10. So 5 is to be bought from the market. So the cash outflow relating to the new teak is $572.5. So we total the 4 items and we get the total relevant cost of teak as $1,220. So coming to the next part of the question, a new kitchen is required. So I already said that the kitchen or the galley needs renovation. This can be purchased for $4,500 and the fitting cost will be $2,000. So we can purchase a modular kitchen outright and the amount is $4,500. That's the purchase cost and the fitting cost is $2,000. So that was option 1. So cash outflow for the new kitchen, the option 1 is we can purchase it at $4,500, incurring an amount of $2,000 for the fitting cost. So the total cash outflow for option 1 is $6,500. Alternatively, so that's the second option, the existing kitchen can be refurbished. That is, it can be renovated. The materials for refurbishment will cost $4,000 and 40 hours of semi-skilled labor will be employed specifically for the refurbishment at a cost of $15 per hour. So if you're going for option 2, so what is the cash outflow? Renovation cost, material cost is $4,000. That's coming from here. And the labor cost is 40 hours multiplied by $15 per hour. So that is $600. And they have said the fitting cost of the refurbished kitchen will be 10% less than a new galley. So what was the original fitting cost for the new one? The fitting cost was $2,000. So for the renovation, it costs 10% less. 10% less means $2,000 into 90% because it's 10% less. So fitting cost is $2,000 into 90% or $1,800. So we total the 3 items for the option 2, it comes to $6,400. So which option is cheaper? If you see option 1, we have to incur an amount of $6,500, and for option 2, we have to incur an amount of $6,400. And since it's a business, we always go for the cheaper option. So the option that we will be applying will be option 2, that is a renovation cost, having a total cash outflow of $6,400. So what is the relevant cost? The cost of the galley, the cheaper option, which is a renovation, it is $6,400. The next part of the question is concerning the relevant cost of labor. We will have a quick recap of the relevant cost of labor before we proceed further. Relevant cost of direct labor, it's either a cash outflow or a lost cash inflow. It remains the same. So the concept is same. So if there is a cash outflow or a lost cash inflow relating to the direct labor, then it is relevant. And when there is no spare capacity, what do you mean by spare capacity? Laborers are remaining idle without any job. But if there is no spare capacity, then what will we do? Then the laborers have to be transferred from an existing job to the new job. What is our new job? Renovation of the yacht. So existing job, we will have to ask them to stop and then do the new job. So what will happen about the existing job? If the existing job stops, then we will lose the contribution of the existing job, lost cash inflow. So whenever we are transferring the labor, the lost cash inflow of the existing business is also relevant. Okay? And these laborers will not work free for the renovation of the yacht. We will have to pay them their wages. So the direct labor cost that we actually pay to the laborers, that is relevant, plus the contribution that we lose from the existing business, that is also relevant. So whenever there is no spare capacity and when laborers are transferred from an existing business to a new business, there are two types of relevant cost. One is the actual wages paid, and the second one is the lost contribution of the existing business. You have to total it to get the total relevant cost of labor when there is no spare capacity and when laborers are transferred. So relevant cost is the labor cost, that's the actual wages that you pay, plus the contribution lost of the existing business. Now we will go to the next subpart. 100 hours of skilled labor and 56 hours of unskilled labor is required for upholstery and flooring work. So first we will focus our attention on the skilled labor's relevant cost. Skilled labor is paid a market rate of $25 per hour. So that is the actual wages, and is currently fully employed on another job, which means that we don't have spare capacity, where they earn a contribution of $6 per hour. So for the existing business, they are already earning a contribution of $6 per hour. And whenever we are transferring the laborers from an existing business to a new business, there are two parts for relevant cost. One is the direct labor cost actually paid, and the second one is the lost contribution of the existing business because it is a lost cash inflow. So the relevant cost of skilled labor required 100 hours because that's what is given in the question. So I've made a note of it. And our option was to transfer the existing laborers from the existing business to the new business of renovating the yacht. So the two types of relevant cost is, one is the direct labor cost actually paid. So we need 100 hours, and for each hour we are paying $25 per hour. So it is 100 into 25 or $2,500. And the lost contribution from the existing business is $6 per hour. And since we are transferring 100 hours, it is 100 into 6 or $600. So for option 1, the total relevant cost is $3,100. Now what have they said next? Alternatively, so we're going in for option 2. New skilled labor could be employed, but the new workers will require training at a cost of $14 per hour for the first 10 hours that they are working. So the new skilled labor is also paid $25 per hour because that's the market rate. So the option 2 is you can hire new skilled labor. So the cash outflow is the direct labor cost, that is 100 hours multiplied by $25 per hour, which is the market rate. So it is $2,500 plus you will have to incur a training cost for the laborers. That is $14 per hour multiplied by 10 hours, because we need to train them only for the first 10 hours. So training cost is 10 into 14 or $140. So the total comes to $2,640. So we have got two options. The first option, the relevant cost is 3,100, and the second option, the amount is $2,640. So being a business, we always go for the cheaper option. So we will go for the $2,640 option. That is, we will be hiring new skilled labor. So let's make the final decision as option 2 is cheaper. Relevant cost of skilled labor is $2,640. Now going to the relevant cost of unskilled labor. Unskilled labor, how much do we need? 56 hours of unskilled labor. So I'm just making a note of it. Unskilled labor required is 56 hours. Now let's see the details that are given. Unskilled laborers are currently paid $12 per hour, and each of the 5 workers is guaranteed a minimum wage of $420 per week. What do you mean by minimum wage? That is, even if they do not have any work, we will still have to pay them $420 per week. Okay. Each unskilled employee has enough work allocated to them for the next 3 weeks to earn $372 per week. What is $372? $372 is the amount that is paid for the actual work done by the workers. But we are forced to pay $420 per week. Why? Because of the minimum wage agreement. So actually, we are paying $420 minus $372 extra just because of the minimum wage agreement. We are paying this extra even if the workers do not do any job. So basically, we are paying for the spare capacity or the time when the workers are remaining idle. So the spare capacity per worker in dollar is 420 minus 372. 420 is the minimum wages that we have to pay, but they are working for an amount equal to $372 only. So the extra amount that we pay for the spare capacity is $48. But we don't want the spare capacity in dollar. We want the spare capacity in hours. So since the hourly rate is $12 per hour, how many hours are there remaining idle? Or what is the spare capacity? So spare capacity per worker in hour is $48 divided by $12. So it is 4 hours. So each worker is remaining idle for 4 hours. And how many workers do we have? We have 5 workers. So spare capacity for the 5 workers. For 1 worker, the spare capacity is 4 hours. So for 5 workers, it's 4 into 5 or 20 hours is the spare capacity. And we have already learned that for spare capacity, the relevant cost is 0. Why? Because for spare capacity, we don't need to make any additional payment. We can just ask the people who are remaining idle to go and renovate the yacht without any extra payment, because already we are paying the minimum wages of $420 and each worker is remaining idle for 4 hours. So we can just ask them to go and renovate the yacht with no extra payment required. So for 20 hours, the relevant cost is nil or 0. So we need to pay only for the balance hours. So totally 56 hours is required, out of which 20 hours is the spare capacity. So how many hours are additionally required? It is 56 minus 20 or 36 hours are required additionally. Okay. Now moving forward, the work to be done by the unskilled labor must be completed within the first week of the project starting, and overtime is paid at time and a half. So basically for this 36 hours, we will have to ask the workers to work overtime. And for overtime, we cannot pay the normal rate of $12 per hour. We have to pay at time and a half. What do you mean by time and a half? 12 per hour is a normal rate. Time and a half, which means that if you're working overtime, you will have to pay half of 12. What is half of 12? It is 6. So basically, you will have to pay 12 plus 6 or $18 is the overtime pay. So time and a half means first you have to take the original rate, that is 12, divided by 2. So that's 6. So 12 plus 6 or $18 is the overtime pay. So the workers have to work overtime for 36 hours and the rate of pay is $18. So let's make a note of it. Relevant cost for balance hours, that is 36 hours. 36 hours is 56 minus 20. And this is the overtime pay. 12 is the normal rate. And 6 is time and a half, that other half. That is 12 divided by 2. So it is 36 into 18, giving an amount of $648. So the relevant cost of unskilled labor is $648. Now, before we go into the next subpart, I would like to explain two concepts. One is committed cost and the second one is notional cost. Now, what do you mean by committed cost? Committed cost means costs that are committed. Committed means those which are governed by an agreement. Suppose the factory rent that you pay. You will have to pay the factory rent whatever you decide to produce, correct? So these costs are known as committed costs and it is never relevant. Why is it not relevant? Because it is not incremental or different between the options. Whether you decide to renovate the yacht or whether you decide not to renovate the yacht, you will still have to pay the factory rent. So basically, committed costs are never relevant. The second concept is notional cost. Now, what do you mean by notional cost? Notional costs are those costs which are incurred for transactions with oneself. Now, you might wonder, why would we transact with oneself? I will give you an example. Suppose you have a head office and you have a branch. Now, the building of the branch is owned by the head office. So what happens is, in the books of accounts, head office will charge rent from the branch. Physically, they are not paying or receiving rent. It is just a matter of passing a journal entry in the books of accounts. Head office will pass a journal entry for the rent receivable and the branch will pass an entry for rent payable. So head office and branch is one and the same thing, right? Such kind of expenses are known as notional costs. There is no outside party which is involved. The second example that I could give you is for depreciation. Depreciation is an expense that we charge in the profit and loss account, correct? It is just a journal entry. Are we physically paying any cash to any person? No, right? It is just an amount which we are setting apart for replacing the asset at the end of its useful life. There are no outside parties involved. It is just a journal entry that is passed in the books of accounts. Such types of expenses where no outside party is involved and these expenses are entered in the books of accounts just by means of a journal entry. These are known as notional cost. Now we will get to the next subpart of the question. It is the factory policy to add $2,200 per week to a project for the duration of the project. This is to cover the factory rates $500. What do you mean by factory rates? An example of factory rates is the property tax of the building. Plant and equipment depreciation $700. Interest on long-term loan to purchase plant and equipment $400 and profit element $600. Which option correctly classifies these costs? Factory rates, is it a committed cost or a notional cost? Factory rates, I said an example, it is a property tax of the building. It is governed by an agreement. We have to pay that mandatorily. So it is a committed cost. Depreciation, I already said that it is a transaction where no external party is involved. So it is a notional cost. And interest on long-term loan, again, it is governed by an agreement. So it is a committed cost. Going to the next subpart. Which two of the following statements are true? The $100 spent obtaining the cost of information should be included in the quote. So it is something that has already been spent. So it is a past cost or a sunk cost. Sunk cost is never relevant. So this statement is not true. Coming to the second statement, SIP company should consider the effect of the refurbishment on the tax the company will pay and include the tax effect in the quote as a relevant cost. This is true because if you refurbish or if you renovate, there will be expenses and income associated with it, right? So your tax may go up or down, which means that your cash outflow with respect to the tax is getting affected. Whenever the cash outflow is getting affected, it is relevant. So this statement is true. Now the third statement, opportunity cost arises when a scarce resource which has an alternative use in the business is used in a project. Now, what is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is the revenue lost from the next best alternative. Suppose you're having two job offers. The first job offers you $10,000 salary and the second job offers you $2,000 salary. Which job will you select? The $10,000 job, correct? So in this case, the best alternative was to select the $10,000 job. And what was the next best alternative? It was to select the $2,000 job. So just because you have opted for the best alternative, you are losing this $2,000. That lost amount, that lost income is your opportunity cost. So in this particular example, $2,000 is your opportunity cost. And why did you lose the $2,000? Because you are scarce. Your time is scarce. If you had ample time, you would have done both the jobs. So it is because of the scarcity of resources that an opportunity cost arises. Correct? So always bear in mind, opportunity cost arises when there is a scarcity of resources. Now let's read statement 3 once again. Opportunity cost arises when a scarce resource which has an alternative use in the business is used in a project. This is correct. It is because the resource is scarce that we are losing out on the next best alternative. If the resource was not scarce, we could use the resource for both the alternatives. So that statement is right. The last statement, relevant costing techniques should be used in cost, volume, profit analysis. Now, what do you mean by cost, volume, profit analysis? That is nothing but marginal costing. Now, if you recollect marginal costing, what all formulas did we learn? We studied how to calculate the break-even point. How did we calculate the break-even point? The formula is fixed cost divided by contribution per unit, correct? So fixed cost is getting considered in marginal costing. And do you consider fixed cost in relevant costing? No, we do not consider fixed cost in relevant costing because it is not incremental cost. So this statement, relevant costing techniques should be used in cost, volume, profit analysis is not true. Because if we were using relevant costing in the cost, volume, profit analysis, then we cannot take fixed cost. Fixed cost is to be completely ignored, which is not the case. So this point is wrong. So the final answer, the true statements are the second and the third statements only. So finally, our job is done. So if you have found this video useful, I request you to subscribe to my channel and do press the bell icon if you would like to see similar videos. So thank you all and have a great day.